Hi everyone, it's Sarah here in Red Lake. I just wanted to take a couple minutes to show you the resource called Four Seasons of Reconciliation. So I have inquired to the school board about purchasing this resource for all of our secondary schools. The resource was created to work on building and renewing relationships between Indigenous people and all Canadians. And the resource was created for not only secondary, but post secondary and other areas as well. But it has a direct link to grade 10 history. So within this resource, there's a 1 week unit plan that is meant for the grade 10 history courses, as well as adaptations for all other grade levels and courses to be used as well. So what happens is if the resource were to be purchased, each school would receive a binder with print resources, DVDs of the documentary, USBs of PowerPoint, all of that. But in addition to that, every teacher and student would receive a login. And through the teacher login, you could access all of that on your own from home. So you would simply log in and you would see a page similar to this. And then you would have access to the teacher's guide, which I can show you in a second, the documentary itself, which is Third World Canada. It takes place in Big Trout Lake, and the PowerPoints, which I can also give you a glimpse at, professional development, and then the student site as well. So maybe I'll go to, this is the documentary. So it was created by Andre Casabon, and she spent a great deal of time in Big Trout Lake with all of the community members. And this takes a very close and personal look at the effects of the living conditions and mental health issues and suicide on the reserves in Ontario, essentially just on our doorstep. And with the recent loss of Alyssa Nanakizik earlier this week, who I believe was only 11, who lost her life in Big Trout Lake, this is, especially dear to my heart. But the documentary is extremely gripping, and it is somewhat difficult to watch. But with the unit plan, you would use the documentary fairly early on in the week, and then you would move towards, you would take a look at the dark history of Canada and, what has gone on over the years with residential schools and the 60s scoop and all of that. But then we would take a look at where we are today, and then the goal of this is to work towards reconciliation. So what can we do to kind of renew those relationships? And it gives students and staff an opportunity to work together to try to find some solutions and come together to build that community within our schools. So that's the documentary. Like I said, I showed you where there's a link to the print resource. Sorry, I'm kind of partway down it here, but you would have access to everything. So what you see here, it has the lesson plan, the teacher notes, things you might need to be aware of. It has all the handouts, assessment, gives you the background knowledge. So I find for many people, for the TRC, including myself, the hesitation in implementing some of this is that I don't want to do it wrong, and I don't want to give false information, and I want to make sure I do a good job at it. And sometimes it's hard to feel confident with all of those things. So what I like about this is that it gives me the information, and it is authentic and current. So I feel more comfortable with it. So that's the print resource. Like I said, it has everything that you need, handouts and all of that. And then there's also the PowerPoint presentations. So there are 6 PowerPoint presentations, and they're not your typical kind of plain old boring presentations. The imagery is quite gripping, as you can see here. The picture says 1,000 words. That's really the case here, as you can see some of the living conditions. So I find them extremely powerful. So in a nutshell, that's the resource. What I'm asking everybody to do, I know everyone's busy and I get that, but I would really appreciate if you could just take a couple minutes and read through this survey. Also take a look at the site if you're interested as well. But there are many calls to action, 94 specific calls to action from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. But I outlined 4 specific points that apply to all of us in education, and there's numerous more, but I want to have an idea of how comfortable people are with these. If you feel you have enough resources to go ahead and start integrating knowledge about truth and reconciliation, and if you would be interested in using a link such as, or a resource, such as this. So, I did tell you that it's meant for grade 10 history classes, like fits in perfectly, but then there are adaptations that can be used in other classes. So the TRC, definitely kind of states or emphasizes that these topics aren't only to be discussed in history class or in Native studies, but we have to try to work to integrate it within, more of our teachings, not just those courses. So if you could please fill out this survey, I would greatly appreciate it. I believe at the bottom there's feedback or anything else. Maybe I'll add one more thing on here where you can, if you have any other comments, please just send them to me. The survey is anonymous, so nothing's going to come back to you. I have no idea who's sending what. So please be honest. I'd greatly appreciate it. And just let me know if you'd be willing to use this resource or not before our school board invests in it. I would just like to know if there is sincere interest or not. So thank you very much for your time. Take care. Bye.